Ready? We call this meeting to roll. Let's pledge allegiance. Can we allow public comment? Anything that's not in the agenda? If anybody wants to speak on any item that's not on the agenda, can step up. No secrets, okay. Public comment is closed. Consent agenda. Anybody have any questions? Commissioner Lowe? No?
If there's no questions, I'll move approval of the consent.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing. A use permit for the location of 261 Leslie Lane. Michael?
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Michael Krause presenting use permit number 1123-15, Scatina. This project is located near the intersection of Comstock and Fairview Road in the northeast section of the county, just northeast of Hollister. The applicant proposes to construct a 1,050 square foot accessory senior dwelling unit approximately 162 feet from the main residence. The site zoning designation in this case is agricultural productive, and it allows residences and agricultural uses, and an accessory senior dwelling unit may be permitted. However, units more than 100 feet from the site's primary residence require Planning Commission decision. Generally, allowable circumstances for greater than 100-foot distance are considered to be disturbance of existing native trees, impediments such as waterways or geotechnical features. In this case, the applicant is requesting to construct outside of the required 100-foot radius in order to locate the proposed structure within 100 feet of a future single-family dwelling. And as a note, the current dwelling located on the property is proposed to be removed in the future. And there are no known physical limitations associated with the property that would prevent the construction of the unit within 100 feet of the primary residence. This project has been determined to be exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. The proposal generally complies with county code sections governing the accessory senior dwelling units. While the senior unit would be developed more than 100 feet away from the existing residence, the construction would avoid removal of orchard trees on the property. So staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the use permit 1123-15 based upon the following required findings in the staff report, including finding number 4, that is within your staff report, and subject to the recommended conditions of approval. And staff is available for any questions.
Any comments? No? Commissioner Lowe?
No.
No questions? So,
Applicant here?
the applicant here? You want to ask some questions? Or?
Would you like to speak on the...
I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
You got to open the public hearing, don't you?
Oh,
Oh, public hearing. No, let's open public hearing. Sorry. Sorry about that. Public hearing is open. Anybody?
Okay. I'm happy to answer any questions. Again, it is a... Oh, my name is Alfred Scatina. The proposed residence is within an orchard, and it's in the zone that we're going to put the proposed residence is in an area where the fewest trees will be removed. Again, we also want this location to make it more conducive of all the existing houses on Leslie Lane. So the existing mobile home, which is in the far northeast corner of the property, would, at a future time, it is a mobile home, and when it is time for it to be relocated, we'll relocate it so it's more consistent with the existing housing on the street. That's all I have to really ask you guys for about that. All right, thank you.
No questions? So,
Yeah.
okay. Close public hearing. Commissioners?
Okay, I move we approve use permit 1123-15 based on the following required findings, including finding number 4, and subject to the recommended conditions of approval contained in the staff report.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That was easy.
Was easy.
Which the rest of them were going to be.
Number 4. West Eaton, location Southside Road. Who's
This item is a tentative subdivision map 13-87 and 13-88 for Humboldt West, John Eade. Is located on Southside Road in Tres Pinos. The proposed project is located on 3 vacant parcels that contain approximately 3.64 acres. The property is located at the intersection of Highway 25 and Southside Road in the unincorporated area of Tres Pinos. The applicants are requesting 2 major subdivisions, one on each parcel. One subdivision consisting of 16 single-family dwelling units located on 2 parcels consisting of 2.9 acres on the north side of Southside Road, and one subdivision consisting of 5 single-family dwelling units on a 3/4 acre parcel on the south side of Southside Road. The proposed project would result in the creation of 21 lots, which would accommodate 21 single-family residential units. The property is currently zoned single-family residential. Access to the 16-lot subdivision will be provided through a new roadway connection located on the north side of Southside Road, entitled Pepper Tree Court, and access to the 5-lot subdivision will be provided through a new direct access driveway with connections to West 5th Street and F Street, located on the south side of Southside Road, west of West 5th Street. Water and wastewater services proposed to be provided by connecting to the Tres Pinos Water District. The applicant had received a conditional intent to serve letter from the Tres Pinos Water District to provide water and wastewater services for the project, although according to the Tres Pinos Water District, this letter has expired. So when the application was deemed complete, the site was designated rural urban in the county general plan, and R1 single-family residential in its zoning. Since then, the general plan has been updated, and now it is identified as a residential mixed designation as opposed to the rural urban designation, although this subdivision in its shape and format is still consistent with the zoning and general plan of the site. An environmental analysis was conducted for this project, and a mitigated negative declaration was prepared for the project. 3 letters were received, one from Caltrans, one from the Tres Pinos Union School, and one from the Tres Pinos Water District. All are attached with responses in your staff report. This project is zoned correctly. The general plan is correct for it. The project is a permitted use under the single-family residential district, which includes single-family dwellings, accessory buildings and uses, gardens, horticultural uses, and orchards, and private recreational uses. However, due to the inability to secure service from the Tres Pinos Water District at this time, staff cannot recommend approval. Staff has prepared findings and recommendation and conditions of approval should the commission wish to approve this project. However, at this time, staff does not recommend approval, and the applicant and members of the public are here to discuss it further. This concludes staff's presentation. I'm available for questions.
okay? Public comments open.
Let's keep it on commission level first. I have a question of legal. So I just received this yesterday. I think some of us only received it tonight.
Right.
And I'm wondering whether or not we should continue this to give us time to work on this further. Or is there any legal issue involved with that, or is it okay that we go forward? Or
I think it's okay. I think it's in the Planning Commission's discretion whether or not it believes it should continue it or hear it tonight. So I'll leave that up to the Planning Commission. You can proceed forward today if you wanted to, or you can continue it if you wanted to.
You're clever. You put it back in my court. Yeah. How do you feel about it, Pat?
I'm not going to be here December 2nd. So continuing to December 2nd, I don't know if it's really going to... I mean, I have not read it. I feel I should at least read it, but I'm not going to be here on the 2nd anyway, so...
Yeah. Well...
Unless we want to continue it to January. But that's putting it off along.
Yeah. And that might hurt the applicant. So, Jeff?
Well, I would like an opportunity to read it. I mean, we have to open it up to the public anyway, so
Yeah.
Microphone, please.
And then maybe find
Sorry.
later.
I said I would like an opportunity to read it, which I haven't had, and we have to open it to the public anyway, so I say we move forward and then make a determination afterwards whether we want to.
Continue or take action.
Right.
Okay, I'm with you guys. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Public comments open.
Before we go on, may I ask for the record what document that is?
Here.
Is the applicant considered the public? If I'm here on behalf of the applicant, is it a 3-minute limitation or is it?
You continue.
I'll make it short.
Yeah. Okay, for
So, thank you, Chairman Rodriguez, Commissioners Lowe, Culler, and Pierce. My name is Paul Ravella. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, John Eade. The letter that Mr. Pierce just identified is a letter that I provided. I tried to get it to the county sooner, but we were not aware of the staff's recommendation until we received the staff report on Monday. So I turned it around as quickly as I could, and I sent it out to staff, and I gave it to the planning commissioners we could give it to as quickly as possible. Essentially, the summary, the contents of that letter addresses the concerns raised by the Tres Pinos Water District. It's primarily reports, consultant reports, meeting minutes from the Water District that contradicts or addresses concerns that were raised by the Water District. I'm not here today to go through each and every page of that packet. I don't think this is the appropriate forum for that. It's primarily specifications and operations and business matters related to the Water District that addresses the concerns in their comment letter from July of 2015. Essentially, the county code on subdivisions requires that each unit be served by a public water and sewer system. Under the Vineyard Area Citizens case, proof of long-term water supply is required by the California Environmental Quality Act. Staff's conclusions in the staff report recognize that there is a public water system with sufficient long-term water supply to serve this project, and that's identified in Section 9 of the initial study and the mitigated negative declaration. Specifically, staff concludes, based on its evaluation, and I'm quoting, based on its evaluation of the comments received for the subject project and all of the evidence in the record, these comments do not provide substantial evidence the project would have a potentially significant impact on water supply, wastewater, school facility, or traffic impacts. So although staff's not recommending approval here, they're not recommending denial. And it's not because of the lack of water supply or wastewater treatment service. It's because of the correspondence received from the Tres Pinos Water District, which is included in Attachment D to your staff report. The district correspondence, it raises several concerns, but nowhere in that letter does it deny water service or wastewater service to the project. It does not indicate any inability of the project to receive water or wastewater service, primarily because we have not applied for water or wastewater service. The district's ordinances, numbers 4 and 5, which govern water service and wastewater treatment service to properties within the district jurisdictional boundaries, require a final map, as quote-unquote final map, as part of the application for water and wastewater service to a subdivision. So what we have here is a catch-22. We are required to provide a final map to the water district to obtain permission to connect to their wastewater and water service system, which we cannot get until we obtain the approvals for a tentative map from the County of San Benito. With regard to the specific concerns of the district in their correspondence, I already indicated that I provided those documents in support of our position. I'm prepared to address those concerns and any other concerns raised by the district or the public or that the commission might have tonight. But I don't think this is the proper forum to debate the business operations or management of the water district and its public water or sewer system. At this point, if there's one thing that I'd like to make clear tonight is that we're not asking the county to sit in place of the Water District Board of Directors and determine whether or not there is water or wastewater, that there's permission for this project for water or wastewater service. A vote of approval by this commission tonight does not mandate a connection to the system. It will not directly result in a single drop of water for this project, because condition of approval number 12 in your packet requires that the applicant obtain permits to connect to the district system before recordation of a final map. A favorable decision by this commission tonight will simply allow the applicant to proceed with the next step of the process, that being applying for water and wastewater service with the district, under which they shall determine in their own discretion based on their district rules and procedures. And so we respectfully request that you adopt the mitigated negative declaration tonight and approve this subdivision project so that we can obtain and secure water and wastewater service in accordance with the district's rules and policies. Thank you very much. I'm available if there are any questions from the commission. Also, I've got Matt Kelly here tonight, who is available to address any technical concerns regarding the project or any of the aspects of the project. And the applicant, Mr. Reed, is in the audience tonight as well.
Commissioners, any questions?
So, Paul, my understanding is you had a letter of intent, but it expired?
We had a conditional intent to serve letter, which was supplied to the county. It's in the county file. I'm not sure if it's in your packet or not, but it had about 8 or 12 conditions, one of which was resolution of the 26-year-old self-imposed moratorium that the district is under, based on a recommendation of an engineer in 1989. It was extended in 1999 due to flood damage in 98 that has since been repaired. But we did have an intent to serve letter. It was conditional. And the issue is we provided our application for this project in August of 2013. It's taken us more than 2 years to get to a planning commission hearing. The county code does not require an intent to serve letter. It does not require. What it requires is proof of supply, proof of groundwater long-term supply, and that's in the county's subdivision codes and the application requirements. And so we believe there are, in this package of materials, there are 3 reports, at least 3 reports, one from San Benito Engineering, one from Sterling Engineering Environmental. The 72 Engineering is dated 2008. Sterling Engineering Environmental is dated 2013. And the Wallace Group, dated 2014, I believe, all of which indicate that the district is currently operating at less than half of its service capacity for wastewater treatment service, and that even with the addition of this project, water flow levels would be at, I think, 70% of the historic peak flows for this system. And that's all in the initial study and the mitigated negative declaration in your packet. But I provided the consultant reports because I'm not sure if the commissioners have actually gone to the planning department and reviewed the actual file. But those are district consultants hired, paid for, representing the district, who concluded that there is water and wastewater capacity.
Okay. So if we move this forward and you continue with your project and then you fail to secure connectivity, then you just have spun your wheels a little bit and wasted some money. But
we can't put a house, we can't start construction until we provide proof of connection or permission to connect to the system.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, I'd like to reserve Paul for probably some talks later, but is the Tres Pinos Water District here tonight at all?
Yes, I am. Green. Good evening, Christine Breen, appearing on behalf of the Tres Pinos Water District. I'm here tonight just to address the staff's recommendation that you deny approval of the project at this time. This is not an issue of will or will not serve. This is an issue of cannot serve. The district currently has 110 residential hookups. Mr. Ravella is correct. There has been a self-imposed moratorium for 26 years. It is unfortunate, but the district has the dubious distinction of being a disadvantaged community, as so designated by the Rural Water Resources Association. The good news is that last fall, the district was a recipient of a small community grant administered by the Department of Water Resources. We are in phase 2 of that process. That's the planning phase. Unfortunately, the results of that will not be ready until spring of 2016. The planning phase will include a proposal for construction to bring the infrastructure that was originally put in place in the 1960s and has not been upgraded since then to bring it to a capacity where it could withstand additional impact. With 110 current residential hookups, 21 additional residences will create a significant impact. And the district is not in the position right now to take that on. Mr. Ravella cited the engineering reports that the district is only at half of its service capacity. And I want to be sure that we distinguish what the permitted capacity is versus what the actual capacity given the degraded current system is. So actual capacity is different and is simply insufficient at this time. So are we opposed to the project altogether? No. But can we tell this commission with all honesty that the district is not in a position to grant permits? There's a reason the moratorium's there. This is not self-serving at all. This is really a disadvantaged community that has little resources, and that's why we're looking to the state to help us build that capacity. And once it's there, and unfortunately that's a few years off, we would be more than happy to entertain applications for permits to hook up. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Have a question.
Yes,
It's going to be a couple of years before you upgrade the sewer treatment plant, correct?
absolutely. Yes.
Well, the project will take at least 2 years before it even gets off the ground.
Well,
I mean, I don't see why wait 2 years and come back. There'll be another 2 years. I mean, what's hang up? I mean, in 2 years, it's going to take 2 years before they even get anything going.
Yeah, but what if they don't get money and it takes 6 years?
yeah, I mean, I guess I should be clear that we are in phase 2 right now, and we will have the results of that plan in 2016. We have no guarantee of receiving the funding to actually implement the infrastructure improvements. We're hopeful that we will receive them, but those funds are grant funds administered by the federal and state government. And I think we all know that we certainly can't count on those until they're received.
But if you still give the approval, you don't have to give them water. You don't have to grant them any connections.
You're absolutely right. But I'm here tonight to manage expectations, because once approval is granted, there, I think, at least is an expectation that they're going to be able to proceed with the project. And so I want to be very clear on behalf of the district that there simply is not the capacity at this point and for the foreseeable future to take that into consideration. Full disclosure.
Well, 2 years, a lot of things can change in 2 years. That's my opinion. I mean, it's zoned properly. We got the new general plan. I mean, why do we get a new general plan? Then we can't abide by it or follow it.
I can only give you the facts.
You know. So, commissioners?
You have something to say, Pat?
Pat?
Well, I think I'd rather have the public hearing finished and then.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
me too.
Anyone else?
Marty Richmond?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Marty Richmond from Hollister. You know, I do know John Eden. He gave me a call or sent me an email and asked me to take a look at this. And I did. And I'm not going to come up here and say that there's enough water in Tres Pinos to service this project. That would be silly of me because I don't really know. But I do have a major concern about the fact that it's 26 years. And I remember 8 years ago standing right here and talking about the Tres Pinos Water District refusing to fix their problem. Now, they have refused and refused. And one thing we could say, perhaps they are dysfunctional. Or perhaps they're using this refusal continuously to kill any development prospects. Now, if they're doing the latter, my feeling is that would be illegal. And I think some of that latter does exist, because they've done absolutely nothing. And if they're looking for money, what better money can you get than 21 connection fees? I mean, that's where you get your capital money from to fix anything. So you can come up with a plan that says, here's 21 connection fees, here's what it's going to cost, and we can use this money to fix this system, and eventually you have to raise the rates. And they've refused to do that. So if you refuse to do anything, obviously no one is ever going to fix that system, and it goes way beyond the 21 home problem. I mean, we remember that they didn't have adequate water to fight fires. I remember that very well, and they didn't have their water tank is failing. Everybody knows what's going on there. There's no secret. So by essentially putting the developer and Tres Pinos head to head, they can go to court and fight it out. As a taxpayer, I don't want to see the county in the middle of that fight. If you deny them the right to put in an application because they can't get a map, then the only way they can get through that is to take the county to court and say, you have to let me have a map so that I can at least go to the water district, have them refuse me, and then I can take them to court. Otherwise, you go to court, and the court's going to say you have not exhausted your capabilities of doing it because you never put in a formal application. So you got them in a perfect catch-22, as the previous speaker used the term, and we all know what that is, being, oh, I can't put in an application, and the water district saying, we won't even consider it because you don't have an application in. I think it's clear from the water district's representative that the expectations are the water district's going to say no. This is on the record, right? Somebody is making this thing. She spoke it. They're here. Their representative is here. I think everybody understands that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mike, any more? Number cards? Oh.
Richard Betancourt, 4140 Southside Road. When I was on the Planning Commission 5 years ago, I went to Trespinas Water District meetings for 5 years. For 5 years, every meeting. And my concern at that time was that that was in my district, and my concern was that they didn't have adequate water for fire protection. And even though the spur was in that time frame, but those folks were going to fix that problem, and that water district refused to deal with those issues. So that, like Marty says, I don't know how to resolve it. I finally quit going to the meetings because I seen there was no resolving that. So whatever you want to do is fine by me, but I think you should go forward with it so that maybe they can resolve it down the road here shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the school district here?
School district here?
Trespinas School District? No.
Anybody else? Any questions? Close the public comment. Yes.
Is the public hearing closed, or?
Public hearing closed. And there's no more. Public hearing closed.
I'll yell if I need you, okay? Yeah, and I might, yeah. And it looks like Mike came in late. Do you want to talk on the Eid subdivision in Trespinas?
Not yet, no.
Okay, this is your last chance, dude.
I'm for it.
Okay. So we're close. Public
comment is closed.
Okay. Okay, back to commission level. Go ahead, Mr. Culler.
So Barbara, if we were to move forward with this, what kind of fix do we put the county in if they end up getting denied services? Are we hanging out anywhere?
It's hard to speculate, but I believe that we're acting on our own document, and that would be an issue that would be addressed with the Trespinas Water Board.
Okay. I'm curious what the other commissioners have to say.
You know, I have a bit of a. It is totally a catch-22, Mr. Ravella. Problem is we're up here and we're supposed to vet projects based on if they have water, if they have sewer, if they have fire suppression, public safety. It's a big, big issue, at least to me. And yet, it seems like the district's documents, and they're a district and not in our jurisdiction and have nothing to do with us or anything we say. They're their own game. But it seems almost like it's written into a no-win situation of any applicant in the area, because we want to see water and will serves before we allow a continuance. And we should have that because staff's time's valuable. And they shouldn't be working on a project unless we know we have water, sewer, and fire suppression as we move through the process. At the same time, I think you're being bullied, personally. And I'm kind of wondering if we can do some kind of a concept of approval without actually putting both feet in the fire to allow them to continue on with their process, to allow for their application to the water without a full-blown approval. I don't think we can do it. I don't see any gray area here or loopholes or anything.
Pardon? It's already a condition that they obtain the water before they get the final map. So I think that the county would move forward with, at this time, with either, the Planning Commission can have the ability to approve it, deny it, okay, or continue it to the next meeting. But I think that you really have to move forward with what's before the Planning Commission instead of kick it down the line until Tres Pinos Water District decides, what their future capacity will be.
Yeah, and I don't want to do that either. But I don't want to get in the middle of a match between a developer and them either. So by approving this project, would we put ourselves in harm's way whatsoever? Well, basically we're giving approval, and that says that means they have water, sewer, all of the other things. That's part of the county's guarantees to a certain degree, isn't it?
No, I think it's clear that right now it's a condition that they obtain the water.
Okay.
So, somebody could challenge the approval of the Planning Commission and appeal it to the Board of Supervisors, and then somebody could challenge on the CEQA document. But I think that I wanted to bring the Planning Commission's attention that if it could either, pursuant to its rules of procedure, that it either has a motion, if it decides to do a motion to approve, it will take the motion to approve, and if there's a motion to approve does not pass, then the chair shall entertain a motion to deny if sufficient findings are articulated to support the denial, or you can entertain a motion of intent to deny if the findings for denial are not fully articulated, or if there's a tie vote, the chair shall solicit findings for both sides and state those findings on the record. I just wanted to let that be out there in case, depending on what the Planning Commission wants to do.
Thanks for that. I'll get back to what you actually said.
But also my understanding is they can't proceed forward without an approval.
Mm-hmm.
So they can't submit an application to the Water District for approval or denial. So, catch-22.
What do you think, Pat? You have a wealth of experience up here.
Right, and I've seen many, many lawsuits on just these kind of issues. 110 hookups. There's the public's come up here and basically said that on 110 they're stalling there on 110 hookups. I don't see how they're ever going to be able to put in a new sewer line, new water line, any of those things. It's going to have to come from a grant. There's no way on 110 hookups. If they doubled or tripled the hookups, I don't think there's enough in fees to do that. We're talking millions and millions of dollars. So,
but from my understanding, they've just been forgotten it. They're not doing anything about it for the last 10 years.
Well, I think that they've applied for grants, but
Yeah.
And that's I don't see what else they can do, truthfully.
But
how many times have we gone to Tres Pinos and we can't have lunch up there because there's no water? It's a serious problem. I'm saying it's a serious problem. And I don't know what the answer is.
I don't either. The thing too is this is a totally different jurisdiction. And it's almost, if we take one stand, it's almost we're bullying a water district to do something, and I don't think that's really our job either.
But if we deny it, we're giving someone the opportunity to come forward. Maybe they're going to better it.
You mean if we approve it and they can move forward?
Well, for the application. They still have to go through the Water District to get approval.
Yeah.
Like you said, our approval is meaningless. It's just for the Water District for the tentative map, from my understanding.
Well, what's going to happen is no matter what we do, it's going to go to the Board of Supervisors because one or the other side's going to appeal it.
Sure.
I'm leaning toward moving it forward.
You want to make a motion?
Are we ready for a motion?
Are we ready for a motion?
I'm sorry, I can't hear Jeff when he.
I'm sorry. I said I'm tending to moving it forward. I said, are we ready for a motion?
I have some
We need to
amendments.
Discuss more.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
have more to
I have
say?
one. I had one question on CEQA.
Okay.
Because of this letter from the Water District, is a negative declaration sufficient for CEQA if we move it forward? I mean, my fear is if there's, if we know at this point that the Water District is saying that they cannot guarantee water, and we move the project forward, do we meet CEQA requirements?
Or what are you saying, that we need to take it to an EIR?
That's my fear.
Yeah.
I mean, part you're asking for a legal conclusion, and also it's a judgment call whether the Planning Commission thinks that there's a fair argument that the evidence that's been presented would be that there's a significant or potential significant on the environment. And you have different evidence that's been presented, and I think that just has to be weighed to whether the Planning Commission feels that it's been compelling, that it's evidence that would raise that argument that an EIR should be prepared, or whether it's, comfortable with the mitigated neg deck that's been presented. So I'm going to defer that to you. And now if you want us to, I don't think that I should just. Right now, it's staff's presentation that it's appropriate to move forward at this time.
I think you raise a good point, but let's just talk about that a bit, okay? If it does significantly change it and you feel it would push it to an EIR, how would other than the EIR clearing it and saying it's a yay or a nay, how are they going to do this on this particular situation?
I definitely don't want to push it to an EIR.
I don't really either, because I don't think it would benefit. I don't think we're going to get any new or better information, and I don't think it's going to get any clearer. I think we still have, like Barbara said, there's nothing compelling on either side to actually say we should go forward or not. And we're still dealing with another jurisdiction, or what I consider the district to be a jurisdiction. So it's kind of like we're going to lose no matter what we do. You know what I mean?
I think I'm more concerned just because of the moratorium. Everything we went through with the city of Hollister and the sanitary sewer and the water and the shutdown. And, I just don't feel comfortable telling the Water District that we're moving this forward after they send us a letter that they said, that they explained where they were at this point.
Right.
And I want to make sure that no matter what we do, we don't have a secret problem.
Yeah.
Two things to the Commission I wanted to add. Number one, with regard to the CEQA question, I don't think we're prepared to answer that today, and I would recommend that we, if you want to continue to discuss the CEQA ramifications, I'd want to continue this item and have a full conference with council before returning. Number two, if the Commission is considering approving this project, I do have some amendments to the conditions of approval that I would read into the record.
Okay, let's hold there for a sec, okay? So, and this document was given, not everyone's been allowed to read. How do you feel about a continuance? And then they can investigate CEQA at the same time.
I want the CEQA question answered.
Yeah, me too. That's big stuff, so how do you feel about that? Trouble is we're taking it out now, and nothing's happening in December. It's going to take it all the way to January.
Maybe we should ask the applicant how he feels about a continuance.
Maybe we should.
Which what?
How would the applicant feel about a continuance while we...
Well, I just want to address one thing. staff report says that all of the comments, including the Water District's comment, does not provide substantial evidence that the project would have a potentially significant impact on water supply, wastewater, school facility, or traffic impacts. Staff has already concluded that there would not be a significant effect on those issues.
Okay, Mr. Ravella?
Yes.
Okay, what you're doing is answering a question we didn't ask. Okay,
I
I don't want to be rude here, and I do not want to shut down conversation in this, but
Right.
the question in front of you is, how would the applicant feel about a continuance?
Are we talking to the December 2nd Planning Commission meeting?
Is that our next meeting?
The next meeting that we have on the agenda is, yes, December 2nd due to holidays.
So yes, December 2nd.
So we can, do you need to speak with your applicant to see?
Yes, want to speak, or yes?
No, we would agree to extend it to the second if everybody has their ducks in line and we're not getting, these poor commissioners here, we're getting these big packets today.
Yeah. So what?
Will staff get all these, everything that the...
Okay, Mr. Ede, can you approach the microphone so we can have you on record, please?
My name is John Ede from 4760 Santa Ana Valley Road. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address you. Jay and I would agree to this going to the second, as long as the planning department is going to get all the information that you people requested in a very timely manner instead of getting this stuff to you tonight like they did for this meeting. And other than that, I don't know what I'd be willing to do.
The continuance to December 2nd is okay?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
but it's up to
Well,
you
they're
to
under our
count it.
direction to do that, so it's a little different when they're under your direction compared to under our direction. Okay,
I mean,
so they should bring it back in a timely manner.
Yeah, anyway, they've been, doing it for 2 years? 2+ years?
August 2013.
Yeah. So 30 days is not going to matter that much, right?
Not 30
Just
days.
to answer that one question, the sequel?
14 days, you mean?
14 days, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, on next meeting.
So, and then we're working on the CEQA?
The concern is, and Mr. Reed was right to bring it up, that whether staff has enough time between now and the second.
2 weeks, right?
Yeah, because Thanksgiving and...
Yeah.
They just got to move on it,
So does staff have time? That's why you get paid the big bucks, dude.
I think that,
I think we would be more comfortable with more time.
I think we should just do it for the next meeting. I mean, that's
Or we
just
could
gotta.
we could schedule a special meeting on the regular day of December 16th.
Special meeting?
Yeah, special meeting, as opposed to meeting on December 2nd. As it is, nothing has been public notice for December 2nd, so there's nothing on the agenda for December 2nd at this time. So it's up to you.
So if nothing's on the agenda for December 2nd, then you can put all of your time into the secret element of this. So now you've got 2 weeks to December 2nd. Can you pull it off because this is your only element? Or do you feel you really need the extra 2 weeks for the special meeting time of 16th? Be honest. We'd rather do it right than do it sloppy, right? So
if the planning commission is willing to do it, I'd rather have the meeting, a special meeting on December 16th, and maybe we could even cancel a meeting on December 2nd.
okay.
I'm working, 1 day next week, so.
Step up, John. Come up to the mic, John.
Staff would recommend that we
16th.
do it the 16th, have a special meeting on the 16th. Hopefully the entire commission could be there for that date as well.
John, now wouldn't you really give them a little extra time
I've
to
been
do it
waiting
right?
800 days for this planning department to get this thing out.
I know, but that's on your
days.
primary applicant and all that.
And
now
all I'm
we're-
saying is that if they can't get this done by the 2nd, G and I have just talked about, we want you to vote on it right now. Then we'll take it from there.
Well, we
They
can
can't
vote.
get
We
one
can vote
thing
on a
done in
continuance
2
on
weeks.
this anyway, John.
Huh?
We can vote on a continuance for this anyway. We don't have to approve or reject. You understand that, right?
I understand that.
Okay. Okay.
But if you can either vote to have it on the 2nd, or reject it, or approve it. Not to extend it to the 16th.
Actually, we can do that too. It's just up to the commission.
Okay.
If we decide we all want to show up and nobody else wants to be here, that's cool too.
Okay. I'm just saying what we'd approve, what we'd do.
Okay. And here we're doing overtime during the holiday season just for you.
What do you think, Byron, the 2nd? You think you can get it through? If you got nothing on the agenda for the 2nd, I mean, you got, what?
Planning Commission isn't my only job.
You got,
And I
8 working days?
would prefer the 16th.
You were about to make a motion.
The 16th is cut into
Yeah, I don't think
too
we're
close
ready.
to the holidays.
I'm okay with the 16th.
You okay with the 16th? Not the 2nd? Get it over with?
Mr. Chairman, with respect, excuse me, I didn't mean to speak tonight. We are very thinly staffed. There are a lot of things going on, general plan implementation stuff with the land use element, with the housing element, a number of subdivisions, a number of other ordinance applications. I don't think that a week of time to study this important issue is really adequate for staff.
But you understand that frustration of the applicant.
Absolutely
800 days.
understand.
I mean, that's a.
I
usually
absolutely
there's-
understand
you know.
Mr. Ravella's and Mr. Reed's frustration with this. Absolutely do.
You just keep dragging on. You know, that's what this commission wants to move things forward. Doesn't want to be dragging their feet. 800 days, that's a long time.
I wouldn't. The only, and it's up to the commission entirely. I would not want to recommend that we, at this point, cut corners just to save a couple of days.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So, you ready for a motion yet? Dude, okay. You want to make it or you want me to?
Do you want to? Go ahead.
So I move we continue this to December 16th, special meeting of the Planning Commission. Be here or be square.
At 6 p.m.
Sounds good.
All in favor?
Oh, I need a second.
Oh, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll have full commission also.
Yeah, that'd be good, you know.
That'll work.
Better.
Okay,
And there's some confusion on it.
next item.
Time.
Okay, good. So we can.
Yeah.
Someone Oaks.
Access to the hill.
Working days or something.
Byron?
Then they got it back on.
Yep.
everything else, too.
This is tentative subdivision map 13-86 for the Pulte Group in San Juan Oaks, located at the south and west intersection of Union Road. On September 16th, 2015, and then on November 3rd, 2015, the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors, respectively, conducted public hearings to consider the Del Webb at San Juan Oaks specific plan project, and the Board adopted the Del Webb at San Juan Oaks specific plan and related entitlements and approvals for the San Juan Oaks project, which consists of the development at full build-out of up to 1,084 residential units, up to 25,000 square feet of amenity space, a 200-room hotel, approximately 4-acre assisted living and skilled nursing facility, and 65,000 square feet of neighborhood commercial uses. The development of the residential, commercial, and resort land uses would occur in the northwestern portion of the project site. As noted before, the project includes approximately 7 acres of private neighborhood parks, 16 acres of public community park space, approximately 114 acres of common area open space, 41 acres of on-site ag preserve, and over 1,200 acres of on-site permanent wildlife habitat. In addition, it has a approximately 153 acre of agricultural preserve off-site. In addition to the new construction, the project also includes, under the specific plan, upgrading of the existing golf club. In addition to adopting the specific plan, the board also approved and adopted the SEIR, the subsequent environmental impact report, the adoption of the CEQA findings and the statement of overriding considerations, adoption of the water supply assessment, and other findings as required by planning and zoning law. They adopted the general plan text and map amendment to create the San Juan Oaks specific plan land use designation, the San Juan Oaks specific plan zone change designation, county code and other zoning text amendments to ensure consistency between the county code and the project, and a development agreement. So this project is part of the larger project governed by the San Juan Oaks specific plan that's been approved. The reason why this map did not come with the rest of those approvals is that you couldn't adopt this map until the board approved the general plan amendment and the zoning through the adoption of the specific plan and all the other environmental and development agreement issues. So now that the board has approved the zone change and the general plan amendment, we are returning back to the commission with the map for your review, and staff does recommend approval. I do have some amendments to the conditions of approval. If you would like, I can go through those now, or if you want to wait and have some discussion first, and then I'll review them with you.
Can we have the amendments right away? Pat, you okay with the amendments right up front? Yeah, can we have those?
Okay, so for condition number 30, the two community parks total 16.7 acres, not 167 acres.
Oh, we just got ripped off.
For 34T, just a minor clarification, replace the word "and" with "or," where it says that ensure that project landscaping does not introduce invasive or appropriate plant or tree species. Number 43, there was some math that needed to be redone, so we've added the statement that the applicant shall pay to the county the total benefit of $5,559, which shall be used for the county's sole and absolute discretion as it deems appropriate for the benefit of the county, which may include general community benefits, street improvements, affordable housing, public safety services, library services, and communications. And then in the breakdown of that condition, the math now adds up where it didn't add up to the correct amount earlier. Condition number 48. We've changed it to pursuant of the San Juan Oaks at Del Webb specific plan, the applicant or subsequent developer may elect to incorporate gated entryways to either the active adult community or the conventional market rate housing sections, subject to the county RMA's review. The emergency access road shall be gated in a manner to allow emergency access as required by the county and or the fire department. And I should point out that as an additional condition of approval number 51, which I will read into the record, dedication, at this time you cannot gate county roads. Yeah. So any gating that would happen for this project would have to go back through the appropriate review.
Yeah, can I stop you right there? So why are we popping this in here if this all has to come back, the gated part of it?
Because the specific plan.
They sold the whole thing as an open community. Now we're talking about putting a gating element in it. Why don't we just wait and see later on? Why put it in now?
I can answer that. And the reason why is because
I can reference Ashford Highlands as an example of gating after the fact, and it worked out okay for us. Okay?
So you're recommending that we do not put any condition at all regarding gates?
As far as a gate, why? I mean, pretty much it's kind of been sold to us as an open community. I'm just wondering why now we're talking about a gate.
we had proposed a condition prohibiting gates on count because it's a county road, but the specific plan also references that the developer may incorporate gated entryways. So we want to be consistent with the specific plan.
Okay.
However, with no condition, it's the specific plan that governs the document. But we wanted to make it clear that if gating was intended, that the process would be followed and then it would be reviewed. It wasn't just gates go up without county involvement.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't think that could happen anyway. Maybe that's, or I'm not jiving with you. Good. Okay. Fine, let's keep that.
Okay. Condition number 50, except as otherwise provided in the Del Webb at San Juan Oaks specific plan and or development agreement, all required improvements shall be bonded or completed prior to the recordation of the final map or phased final maps if multiple phased maps are intended. These improvements include, but are not limited to, roads, wastewater treatment system, reclamation, recycled water infrastructure, storm drain facilities, potable water and distribution systems, park and recreation facilities, landscape fixtures, and other related infrastructure. If multiple phase final maps are intended, then all infrastructure named above shall be independent and sustainable in operating of the subsequent phases. The reason for that condition is that while most of this and everything should be covered in the development agreement, we don't want to get in any deferred conditions of approval after the fact if for some reason it's not expressly governed by it. So again, much like the discussion we just had with the other map, these things need to be provided prior to recordation of the final map. And then last amendment, inclusion of condition number 51, dedication. With each final map, the applicant shall make irrevocable offers of dedication of all roadways and streets shown on the amended vesting tentative map to the widths necessary to satisfy the design standards specified in Chapter 4, Circulation and Streetscape Design of the Del Webb at San Juan Oaks specific plan for each roadway and or street design type included within the final map. I'm available for questions, and we have our legal staff here as well as the applicant.
Okay, public comments open.
Good evening. My name is John Johnson. I represent Pulte Del Webb. And Mr. Commissioners, and Mrs. Commissioners, I should say, there's a lady present here. We want to affirm this evening that these conditions are long and lengthy and creates many things to do. We concur with all conditions as submitted, including the additions that Byron just wrote in tonight. There were a couple added items, but they're standard things, and the rest of it really is just from typo errors and math errors, and there's nothing really substantially different from what we got approved back in the specific plan and the development agreement. So with that, I'm available for questions if you have any, and we do support the conditions as presented tonight. Okay?
Thank you. Any questions?
No.
No?
Any questions?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Any speakers?
Marty Richard?
No.
Did you call my name? I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes.
Marty Richmond again from Hollister. I put my yellow slip in the event something would come up in the conditions that I wanted to comment on. I didn't have one when I started, but I wanted to be ready because there's always something. So I just want to make sure that if you would, Mr. Chairman and the board, if you would inquire to staff to make sure that any review of any gating would specifically be looked at with the idea that none of the gating seals off any of the public access accommodations that were part of the specific plan. If you would confirm that to me, that the staff would be specifically looking for that. Now's your chance to say yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. That would be the only objection I would have to any gating that goes on as far as I think it was clear from the original discussion that people as they get older, they get frightened. Maybe it's not, shouldn't happen that way, but that's the way our society is. Safety is primary for older people. That's what they think of first. So I don't mind any gating, and I remember the first commission, public meeting I think I ever went to here. We discussed gating. I don't know if you remember that or not, right? That was behind San Juan, right? One of the issues of gating, and I made a couple of jokes about, people going up there and drinking beer and throwing cans on the lawn, which actually turned out to happen a couple of years later, which I remember very well. So thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Anybody else? Commissioners, any questions? Okay, we'll close the public comment.
I don't have anything.
Nothing.
No. Okay, on the gate issue, I mean, we've got a permanent wildlife habitat area and a lot of trails out there. So if we gate this thing, it's going to shut down that trail system to the public, which is maybe what Marty was talking about. That's what I was thinking about as part of it. So part of the sale on this is getting the public in, and or I felt it was, to be able to utilize some of this trail system out there, which I thought was pretty awesome as a public condition. So just hold on, everyone. Just relax. Put the mics down. Okay. So so that's part of it, and so that concerns me some. The other part of it is and since it has to come back in front of here in order to allow or disallow a gate in the future. I mean, there's enough roadways here to where they might be able to gate the Del Webb Drive and Circle area instead of the main, so it would still allow some of that public access. So that's doable. And I was thinking about Pat when I was thinking about that too, because I thought you'd be out there walking the hills. So the other part of it is the element of the golf course itself, which was a concern to me, and I talked to Byron about this, because Ridgemark's so in our face with this kind of stuff and worrying about another Ridgemark, but this isn't a Ridgemark. This is a specific plan. Ridgemark was an R1 that was just blanket R1'd, and anything that's going to go down in this space, because it is a specific plan, will still have to come back to this commission for approval. So I don't think we have to worry about that at all either. And those were really the only concerns I had.
So to clarify the condition, it only applies to allow gating to the active adult community and or the conventional market rate housing sections, not the areas that are supposed to be open to the public. And also, the review is subject to the county RMA, Resource Management Agency's review. It wouldn't be coming back to the Planning Commission.
I don't see access to that area except through what you're talking about. Are we looking at the same map? Yeah, can we have you on record, please?
John Johnson again for the Del Webb Pulte. If gates were to be put here, they would only be on the Del Webb Boulevard, in other words, the residential part. Mm-hmm. And then there's some, so that is part of the loop road, but none of the public access or the parks or any of that, we're not proposing that whatsoever.
Okay, so the San Juan Oaks Drive going all the way down through Phase 5 over to the Permanent Wildlife Area Phase 1, that's all full access?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And then the possibility of gating these lots right here, Mr. Commissioner, with another gate here, but all these access areas are it's all available
if we did that.
Very good.
So the main point is that we're not blocking, in your original thought, we are not blocking the public from access as that would be available.
Okay, thank you for the clarification, because I think part of the project's benefit is to the community as a whole because of that.
Any more questions, commissioners?
Not from me.
So, what is your wish?
Okay.
Can we jump in with that?
So,
The public hearing was closed already.
It was already closed.
Yeah.
We could suggest some additional clarification if it would make the commission more comfortable with the gating not affecting the public areas. No? Okay.
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with.
Yeah, I'm fine. We're pretty smart up here, even if we do give ourselves too much credit for that.
where's the staff recommendation?
Page 2.
So I'd like to make a motion that we approve TSM 1386 based on the analysis, the required findings, subject to the conditions of approval and staff report, and also those read into the record by Byron Turner and attached to TSM 1386.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on. Capital improvement projects.
Thank you.
Byron, had you
This
again?
next item is brought by the Resource Management Agency regarding the cessation of the proposed Y Road Bridge project, which is part of our capital improvement program. Based on the environmental work to date and the changed field conditions, the report proposes cessation of the project analysis and design activity related to the proposed Y Road Bridge and removal of the Y Road Bridge project from the county's capital improvement programs. At the rationale for the recommendation is located in your report, and the recommendation is that the Resource Management Agency recommends that the Planning Commission receive and review this report, receive public comments on the report and the proposed action. Following public comments, make the finding that the proposed Y Road Bridge does not advance the purpose or intent of the general plan, that the existing roadway network in the general vicinity of the Y Road Bridge project area is adequate for the present and foreseeable needs of public safety, and that the proposed Y Road project bridge has potentially significant environmental impacts that can be avoided by selecting the no-build alternative. And then item number 4, vote to recommend to the board that the Y Road Bridge be removed from the county's capital investment program. I am here as well as the RMA Director, Brent Barnes, if you have any questions about this item.
Public comments open. Anybody? Mr. Barnes? Want to comment on that?
Good evening again, Commissioners. This is a bridge that served as a low water crossing from the 50s to the 80s, 50s to the 90s, excuse me. In about 1997 or 98, the bridge was washed out. The low water crossing was washed out. It was a seasonal crossing. It was established just during the dry season. And we did not get permission from California Fish and Wildlife in the late 90s to continue to rebuild the low water crossing. So the roadway has been non-existent there, literally non-existent, for 18 years. Frankly, no one has noticed. And so we're recommending that the existing condition, that the roadway not be a through road out to 101, be continued as the permanent condition, that this project be withdrawn from the capital program, and that we work with Caltrans in effect to try and reprogram the substantial fund of money for this project to something more useful within the county boundaries. I'd be happy to answer questions if you have any.
Commissioners?
This is the area over there on the way to the old CHP office, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. And you can kind of jump over the barrier and still cross over the river and get over.
Yes, you
this.
can.
Yeah.
Just not in a car.
Motorcycle. Well, I used to take the small car. So okay. Yeah.
Any questions, Commissioner? Anybody from the public want to speak on that? Nope. Public comes close. Okay.
I move we remove this from the CIP. You need anything more elaborate than that? Yes. We keep you around, you know.
Can you make would your motion incorporate the findings also in number 3?
You betcha. Okay. What she said. Are you guys high school kids?
Second.
Thanks for coming. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Huh?
I did.
I did. Oh, we both did.
Both did.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, we got one more item.
One more item?
One more.
We got one more item.
Oh.
Similar to the last item, in this case, would be the cessation of the proposed Rosa Morada Bridge project. Again, this similar situation, and it's the recommendation of staff that they receive and review the report, receive public comments on the report and the proposed action. Following public comments, make a finding that the proposed Rosa Morada Bridge project does not advance or purpose or intent of the general plan, that the existing roadway network in the general vicinity of the Rosa Morada Road Bridge project area is adequate for the present and foreseeable needs of the public safety, and that the proposed Rosa Morada Bridge has potentially significant environmental impacts that can be avoided by selecting the no-build alternative, and then vote to recommend to the Board of Supervisors that the Rosa Morada Road Bridge be removed from the county's capital investment program.
Is that the bridge that crosses over the bridge right there in Rosa Morada, but like midway?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's out behind the fire station, the new fire station location. It's on Arroyo dos Picachos, and it's literally at the end of a dead-end road. There are 19 homes beyond the bridge. The existing bridge is in pretty good shape, although it's probably 70 years old. The traffic level is so low there that it is just sustained. Actually, the existing bridge is made from old railroad car frame across a short span. There are a number of bridges around that are of that same style, and this one is in remarkably good shape for its age and location. Removing the bridge, the proposal would be, I don't know if you might have driven there, but the roadway, Rosa Morada itself, is very informal, pothole city. The top speed that you'll survive is about 30 or 35 miles an hour. The bridge proposal would create a 50-mile-an-hour, 2-lane bridge with 400-foot approaches on either side, and would remove a copse of a grove of mature eucalyptus trees along the arroyo itself. Mm-hmm. So the environmental impacts are, it's not huge, but it's not an improvement. And again, we would work with Caltrans to try and reprogram the money.
Now, this is an old railroad car or something over,
yes, sir.
Right? Yeah. I thought that was a private roadway.
No, it's a county road.
Oh.
The dueling road that branches off of it is another road that has exactly the same bridge.
Okay.
The bridge itself is in really good shape, but the approaches are falling apart.
Okay, I'm thinking of John Quell. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's right around the corner.
Yep.
Okay. Public comment?
Any public comment?
Marty, how you doing?
I'm sorry to do this to you, but I just want to make sure it gets on the record. I'm sure my comment is my question is going to be answered affirmatively. This proposal to remove this project, the CIP project, has considered the fact that the new fire station will be at the corner and has taken that into account. I just want to get that on the record. Is that true? I'm sure it is.
Mr. Barnes?
I answer in the affirmative, absolutely.
Thank you.
And it's on the record for you, Marty. It's on the record.
Close.
Close public comment?
Public comment close.
Okay. My turn? Okay, I move that we remove the Rosa Morada Bridge from the CIP based on staff findings. How did I do, Bob? No? Okay. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move we adjourn.
Hang on 1 second. As part of your motion, would you please move that we cancel the Planning Commission meeting of December 2nd and hold a special Planning Commission meeting at 6 p.m. on December 16th?
Second.
All in favor?
What he said. And modified second. Aye. Okay, we're done.
Adjourn now.
6 p.m. to 16th. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Hey, bring him up here. Bring him here.
Think of
Go.
that guy.
Yeah,
He wants
go
to do
ahead.
it.